What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of Big Hoof Energy. I'm your host, Ryan, and as usual, I get to be joined by my co-hosts, Jackson and Kaylie. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Good. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Doing well. Enjoying what is today? The second? Today's the second? Okay, yeah. 2 days into the new year. We got Turfway going. Aqueduct had a good card with a pick 6 carryover that
somebody almost hit it.
Somebody hit it for a nice chunk of change. I was close, but didn't have the other price that mattered. So who cares? On to tomorrow. But on this show, we'll be going over the late pick 5 for this Saturday at Aqueduct, including the Jerome Stakes. Got an awesome field in the stakes race, including the return of McAfee, 2-year-old that's pretty high, or 3-year-old now. Sorry, everybody's birthday was yesterday. It's going to take some getting used to. So newly turned 3-year-olds. We're going a mile, the only mile prep race at Aqueduct. The rest are at a mile and an eighth, but tough rest of the sequence too. How did you guys think about it?
I thought this was a pretty fun sequence. I think the allowance race was honestly the most difficult for me to handicap, but two really good maiden races. And then obviously I think the field for the Jerome is pretty interesting too. I'm really excited about McAfee. So fun sequence.
Absolutely. A little teaser there. Jackson, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was tough. I thought it was really good. I think if you're able to connect the dots in these 5 races, you're gonna get paid for it. Because I thought every single race you could make a case for several horses in them.
I would absolutely agree. I think we used up most of our pick 5 budgets for all of our tickets this time. No 3 singles with some alls, no real skinny fixed $12 tickets like we've had with some easier sequences. This one was tough and definitely trying. So without further ado, let's get on into it. I like that mug you're drinking from, Jackson. That's a good one.
Yeah, first one I saw.
There it is. We'll kick it off with race number 5. We're going a mile for state bred maidens, newly turned 3-year-olds. Picks are up on the screen. I saw the race 8-1-4. Jackson saw the race 6-1-3. Kaylie saw the race 4-1-3. So we all have the one kind of keyed underneath in second. But Kaylie, we'll start with you. The number 4, Tap It Easy for Michelle Giangulio.
Yeah, I thought that this horse's first attempt on the dirt, which was at Saturday's distance, going a mile, was pretty decent. The horse showed a bit of greenness, kind of hopped out of the gate, and then came pretty wide around the turn, was swapping, actually started going down the stretch on the incorrect lead, swapped to the correct lead, and then swapped back. So now today gets blinkers, gets Lasix as well. Coming off that buyer of a 61 first time out, I think is going to make this horse pretty competitive here. And I think also, this horse was also just passed by New Matthew and went off as the favorite as well in his last start. So that's why I put this one on top. I think he's going to be pretty tough in here.
Absolutely. Definitely one tough to beat that I gave a long look to as I had this one in third. Jackson, you didn't have this one anywhere, but you did have the number 6, Runamore on top for Linda Rice.
Yeah, coming out of the same race, actually. And, Tap It Easy ran well last time. And I agree. I saw what you saw, Kaylie, that he was kind of all over the place the last 50 yards. I don't know if it was, you mentioned he was swapping leads maybe, or whatever the case was. I think the blinkers probably should help. I just thought I thought he got a good trip in that spot. I thought from where he was positioned early on in that race, he's supposed to win that one. Maybe the blinkers do help him, but I wanted Runamore out of that race, who didn't get out of the gate great and then was just super rank down the backside. I'm not sure if it was the kickback or if maybe he just wanted to go, but he was super ranked on the backside, kind of got himself into contention coming around the turn. And then, like the horse that Kaylie likes, he was another one that was kind of all over the place in the last furlong. I don't really know what was going on there, but he, faded late. The last 50 yards, I think, exaggerated the margin where he kind of just called it quits very, very late in that race. And, if you throw in some improvement for Linda Rice runners who almost always get better second time out, he's not that far off the favorite. And I think I like that he's drawn well on the outside. He's going to show more speed this time. I'm pretty confident about that. And again, he won't. Man, I just lost my train of thought. He's going to be in the clear, I think, and he won't have to deal with the kickback because I think that'll help where he won't be as rank early on in the race. So just hoping a horse that can get a little bit better second time out in a race that I thought was pretty wide open.
Absolutely, yeah. Evidenced by our top picks, it's definitely wide open. We went a little similar underneath. I ended up with the number 8 on top. Roofer, similar to your pick, Jackson, with being towards the outside. I think that's going to benefit this runner. Gets post 8 of 8 here. I am hoping just a nice outside stalking trip, and I don't know that it's going to take much more to win versus this field. Third time out, this one's kind of racing into shape. I like to see this one close to the Jackson angle with a 62 and a 61. So maybe a nice step forward and start number 3 for the number 8 Roofer. Just a nice, easy outside draw for this one. I'll go to Kaylie now as we go all the way to the inside for our collective second overall pick. That's the number 1 left fight.
Yeah, this is a second-time starter for Mike Maker. I thought on debut, this horse showed a lot of the traits of a horse that's going to appreciate the added distance, stretching out to a mile. First start was also on a money track, so curious to see what this horse does getting on a fair track. This horse was bumped at the start on debut, flashed some speed after that and found his way to sit right off the 3 leaders, and then was passed by Roofer in the stretch, but then fought back against Roofer, which I really liked when I saw that. So that's what made me pick this horse second. I think that he's going to appreciate all the added distance today, and then gets Sophia Vivas aboard, who I think is a pretty tough rider as well. So I thought that this horse looked pretty interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I saw it similarly. Jackson, go ahead and take it away, though, with your thoughts.
Yeah, Let's Fight, Roofer, and Outsource were all coming out of the same race, and I thought they all actually ran pretty well. I thought they all had reasons to believe they would continue to get better. As far as Let's Fight, he wasn't super quick out of there, but got himself into a good position. And then on the turn, he was kind of making a pretty solid move, and it just got super tight right around the quarter pole. He got in tight a little bit, lost momentum. And then as Kaylie mentioned, he kind of regathered himself and kept going, finished pretty strongly, galloped out really well. So I was really encouraged by what I saw from this horse, and I see no reason why he won't improve with the added ground. I personally, I think he should be favored in this race, but that's just me.
That's just you, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can tell this horse probably going to take a fair amount of money, just judging by the fact that we all had this horse picked second. So we all like the chances of this one. Obviously, yeah, second time out. Always gives room for improvement. Has had a couple months off since the debut start where he was in a little tight. And you mentioned
maybe I shouldn't say favorite, but he's the one to beat. Sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead, Ryan.
He's gonna certainly take some money, and I agree. Second time out, that one is going to be tough. Jackson, we're gonna keep it with you. We're gonna go to the number 3 Outsource, another one coming out of that race, that same race that you and Kaylie both picked third.
Yeah, it was just to me it looked like a total prep. I mean, he wasn't asked for any kind of run early. He just kind of ran around there. And then down the stretch, he kind of found his stride, got going late, galloped out really strongly. It just looked like a race where they're just trying to get some fitness into him, which is pretty typical from this barn. They usually give their horses a start as well. He one that's likely to improve, should appreciate more ground. I would like to see him be more, at least somewhat more forward in this spot, but that remains to be seen. And it's encouraging that Manny Franco decides to ride here.
Absolutely. And then the red hot Dutro barn is probably just going to continue on their way. Kaylie, what did you like about the number 3 Outsource?
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, he might be able to get out of the gate a bit easier this time around. He was actually the horse that bumped into Let's Fight, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure. So he did have a pretty difficult start to that race. And I think he made up a ton of ground given, he came from last to 6th. I know obviously he didn't get quite close, but I think with the pretty difficult trip, he showed a bit of professionalism on debut. And like Jackson said, it's a bit of a prep race. I like the fact that Manny Franco gets on today as well. And yeah, the Dutch Row barn is on fire as well. So,
and just one more to add, you guys are much more intelligent about the pedigrees than I am, but Honore P on the top side, will take charge on the bottom. When I think of those two, I just think of 9 furlong, 10 furlong, just grinding type. So the added distance has to be to his benefit, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in full agreement. That, and I think Honore P, they kind of benefit from a starter too. They kind of got to race into shape there, obviously wanting the longer distance. But that is race number 5. I saw the race 8-1-4, Jackson 6-1-3, and Kaylie 4-1-3. We'll move on now to race number 6. We're going a mile again for the state bred. Oh, let me throw this back up there. We're going a mile again for state bred 3-year-olds. Mile on the dirt, of course. I will put the picks up on the screen, the correct race. And I am 816. Jackson is 941. And Kaylie is 864. Kaylie, you and I both ended up on the number 8, Trinity River for Linda Rice on top. What led you to picking this one?
Yeah, so this horse started on the turf, obviously, routing. So we know that he's able to handle, obviously, he's able to handle the distance. He won a mile last time out on the dirt as well. I thought that was a pretty decent race that he ran to New Matthew and Tap It Easy, same horses we were just talking about. And then it has really good early speed as well. So I think honestly he can find himself in a nice position here. And obviously Linda Rice, second time on the dirt. I mean, this horse should be able to take a bit of a step up. And I like that, he's gone this distance already as well. So
Absolutely. I completely agree with what you said. And I just, again, this outside draw, I think is going to be really to this one's benefit. We saw today in the past couple of days of Aqueduct racing, being outside is pretty nice after that kind of strong rail bias day. The track's definitely gotten more fair, but I think outside maybe has just been playing a little bit better. So obviously if that trend continues, that's something to look for. But just in general, I think Trinity Rivers kind of got the best of the draw. He's going to sit the right trip off the pace. Or if, they want to cross and clear, that might be the option too, but just gives the rider, Jose Lascano, some options out of the gate there of what he wants to do. So I like Trinity River on top for that reason. Jackson, you picked Have a Cigar, the number 9, right to the outside. What did you see in this runner coming off the eased line?
Yeah, this is very much a value play here. I don't think he should be 15-1. I thought the debut was fine. I mean, he took a lot of money on that day for Maker, who's not amazing first time out. He can win, but it's not what he's known for. And so I thought it was interesting that he took that much money. Didn't get out of the gate great at all. Was way behind the field and just, again, kind of just ran around the track. Finished up pretty nicely. Actually beat Sunday Guilt that day. And that was kind of my whole half of my angle there, is that he beat that horse. And Sunday Guilt is your 3-1 favorite. And he also just beat Trinity River, who's 5-2. So I have a horse who has beaten the favorite and who also just beat the second favorite, and he's 5 times the price. Now, obviously, you have to wonder what the heck happened last time, where he pulled up and just, needed some time. Something happened that day, but he's had several workouts since then. I believe 5. They all look pretty solid, including the last one that was second best of 188. So I would have to assume that he's going to get back to his good self. And you guys know I love my outside draws and one-turn races, so going to give him a chance at a big number to get back to a good race.
Absolutely. I like it. And certainly at that big of a price, I'm not going to talk you off of it. Kaylie, we had the same pick underneath. I had this one in third. You had this one in second. So you can take it away with the number 6 Sunday Gift.
Well, this horse improves the more distance that he gets. You can see clearly stretching out to a mile. He had a big improvement there. He increased by like 11 buyer speed figure points. I thought the last effort was pretty good. Second time going long for Jeremiah Englehart, who wins with 32% of horses routing for the second time on dirt with maidens over the past 5 years. So I thought that was a pretty good stat as well. And he's improving with each start. I thought ran a pretty tough last race, should be pretty dangerous here. And he's a half sibling to Friday I'm in Love, who broke his maiden his second time trying a mile over the Aqueduct track as well. And I also thought in debut, this horse faced a pretty tough field as well with Man in Finance and Kenny B as well. So I think this horse has had a couple of lessons that should make him pretty dangerous in here.
Absolutely. I agree. This one has shown the ability to, finish his races off strongly. Looking at that effort 2 back, I was able to pass some horses and just showed that he's kind of getting better with every start. So I'm with you. I'm hoping this one takes another step forward. Fourth career start now, hopefully is a winning one, or at least gets him somewhat close, as I have that one in third. Jackson, we're going to go to your second pick, A Million Stories. Why don't you just keep it to one story about the horse that you guys both have somewhere underneath?
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, this race is a split of race 5.
Yes.
I thought this race was much softer, but he comes out of that same race where a lot of the main contenders on that last race were in, and another one who just didn't have the greatest start ever, and then trying to get himself in the race and just found himself kind of behind horses. And then he did kind of make a pretty big move into the stretch, and then the last furlong or so, he tired out. But again, connections that usually are better second time out. I don't think he's going to need to improve a ton to be competitive with the horses he's facing in this spot. And he's just one that I feel like is going to stretch out. So wanted to give him a look here at another big price, because I just was not in love with the favorites in this race.
Nice. Kaylie, what did you see in this one? Did you also pick this one third?
Yeah, I think this horse presented a lot of value at 10-1 on the morning line. He didn't break that well on debut, drifted in and bumped the number 1 horse. He wasn't really able to get comfortable right away after that, but then ended up coming pretty wide to pass some horses on the turn, to come from last to like 8th out of 12. So I thought that wasn't a bad debut at all. It was on a muddy track as well. And, Tom Morley is always a really good second time out. With second time career starters at Naira over the past 2 years, he's 6 for 30. So he's winning 20% of those. And then going from sprint to route at Naira over the past 2 years, he's 8 for 38. So I think that both those things in combination with the debut, I think the horse could take a step up here at a good price.
Absolutely. Some really valuable stats, going 8 for 38, stretching out. Certainly a number you like to see. Real quick, we'll say what's up to Matt Miller, popping in after dinner just to say thanks for covering the sequence. We'll catch the replay later. Thank you. And then Matthew DeSantis, of course, in here showing his support. We appreciate it. Hey, all, fun card Saturday at the Big A. Road to the Derby rolls on through Ozone Park. And we will get to that race. That's race number 8, the Jerome Stakes. But first, I'll touch on the number 1, Magni, a horse that I picked in second. I like this horse's last race, running distance behind Calling Card, who is an odds-on favorite that day. Came out and romped. So I'd just like to see that Manny Franco kept the mount here. I know being inside may be a little bit tricky, but I think he can work out a trip. And this one is improved in all 3 of his starts so far pretty significantly. So I'm hoping this one takes another logical step forward, maybe mid-60s, and that should put him pretty close to the winner's circle. And then again, I just like that last effort. He was the best of the rest of them, but nobody was beating Calling Card on that day. That horse won by, as you can see, 17 lengths. So I just took this one underneath, hoping that 4th time, even a little bit more improvement. But that is race number 6. I saw the race 8-1-6. Jackson picks are 9-4-1, and Kaylie's are 8-6-4. Moving on now to race number 7. We're going to 6.5 furlongs for state bred allowance fillies and mares, non-winners of one other than. Let me throw the picks up there. I saw the race 3-4-5. Jackson saw the race 2-4-8. Kaylie saw the race 5-3-4. Jackson, we're going to start with you this time with the number 2 Valentine gift coming out of a conditional claimer.
Yeah, well, this race actually kind of has to start with a 4 evaluation, because she was just so impressive on debut at Saratoga, where she got forward, she from the rail and won that race pretty easily. I know Geopolitics has she's allergic to the winner's circle, but she does typically run pretty fast races, so it was impressive. And then she came back and it was just so bad. Like I don't know what happened that day. She was 3-5. 4-5, something like that, and just what has been seen since. So kind of to figure out what to do with her. How much do you trust her? I think it's a good sign she comes back protected, obviously, at the same level. But I just don't know how much I trust her. I do think there's a lot of other speed in here, and it's a lot of cheap speed. So that's why I wanted to take a look at the 2 horse, who is name I'm forgetting. Valentine Gift, yes. Definitely step up in class, but what was wrong with the last race? She came from way out of it and a pace that was not fast at all. It completely held together. I think 2nd, 3rd, and 4th were basically merry-go-rounding it around there. If I'm not mistaken, yes, they were. Yeah. And she still got the job done. So I thought it was a pretty impressive race for her to get there. Beat a 6-5 favorite that got a pretty good trip. No, 3-5 favorite that got a pretty good trip. And most of the horse, the figure seems about right. But again, I think she's going to get another good trip in this spot with a lot of cheap speed. The number doesn't concern me that much, because if she is to run well in this spot, it's because the speed comes back to her. So I don't really care that she's a little slow on figures. So I wanted to give her a look from way off the pace, getting back to the dirt again.
Absolutely. I like it. That's the number 2 Valentine Gift, a horse I definitely gave a long look to as well. Kaylie, we'll go now to the number 5 Ariana Rye.
Yeah, this horse is 9-2 on the morning line, so I'm pretty sure she's like 3rd choice, which I thought was pretty good value. That last race that she ran was pretty tough. Got a 76 buyer, and that was second off like a 3-month layoff. So hopefully she can improve again, even though she doesn't really have to win here. She has really good speed, and Tops, I think, is maybe in the best form out of all the horses in this race, at least given that last race. Even if she did regress a little bit off of that, she can still be pretty dangerous here. And then the last 2 starts were also against Open Company as well. So that's something that stuck out to me looking at her compared to the other runners.
Absolutely. Yeah. I picked this horse in third for similar reasons. Obviously, the last out effort is a standout. I just wonder if maybe she was moved up a little bit on the sloppy track. But seeing that she faced Open Company each of the last 2 and now gets in against State Bred, that is a bit of a class drop just in itself. So I think even just the 2-back effort definitely puts this one close. She might need a little bit of a step up from the 60, but she's capable of running a 66 and low 70s, it looks like. So this horse still has some ability and some talent. So that was enough for me to pick this one in third. But my top pick is the number 3, Embraceable Gal. I love the rider upgrade here going from Giroux to Kendrick Carmouche. Kendrick just rides the Aqueduct circuit a little bit better this time of year. He's, always up there for leading rider. So I love to see him take the mount with him and, Manny Franco kind of leading the way during the winter with Dylan Davis and the others out of town. So Embraceable Gal for me, coming in second off the trainer switch from Rob Atras. Rob had a winner today of a horse that was switched into his barn, improved a bunch of buyer points, and now second time in the barn, improved and won. I forget the name of that horse. I want to say it was like Honorable something. It was the 3 horse in one of the races today. But I'm taking a similar approach with picking Embraceable Gal. Second start in the barn for Rob Atras, just kind of gonna keep getting better. Obviously, the race last time kind of fell apart, and this one picked up the pieces behind a runaway winner, Al's Ruby, who was pretty well meant that day, returning off the bench. But I think Embraceable Gal now, second time in the barn for Atras, has a decent shot. I think there is a lot of, as Jackson mentioned, cheap speed in here, and I think this one, I don't know that Embraceable Gal is going to be as far back out of it as she was last time, but I'm hoping, definitely going to be behind the speed a bit. I'm looking at that effort 3 back as kind of the trip that I want this one to sit. So hoping for something similar, but that was enough to pick Embraceable Gal on top for me. Kaylie, you picked this horse in second. Did you like the same things, or did you like something else?
Yeah, and also the fact that the horse has won in a few different ways as well. Or, it has at least been competitive. Either, one, I know this was a claiming race earlier in the last year, but won a claiming race going gate to wire, has come from, off the pace, made up ground well out of it, especially in that last start. So, yeah, I thought that she looked pretty interesting. And with the pace expected to be fast, I mean, she should get the pace that she needs to close into here as well. So I think she should be pretty dangerous in here.
Absolutely. Jackson, we'll go now to you. Right to this one's outside. If you had any other points to make on the number 4 that we started off with evaluation.
Not really. I do think she'll enjoy getting off the rail, but I mean, she's definitely the one to beat. I just don't completely trust her. So I'm going to use her on all my tickets, but I couldn't quite single her.
I'm in the same boat. Kaylie, what were your thoughts on the number 4 evaluation, our morning line favorite?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I put the horse third. I mean, you can't really doubt Chad Brown, in any way, shape, or form. I know the horse is coming off a layoff and don't really know what happened in that last start, but the horse was so impressive on debut that you just can't really leave her off your tickets, whatsoever. So, yeah, and also has some pretty fast works leading up to this as well. So I'm pretty excited to see how she's going to run on Saturday.
Absolutely. Certainly one that could take a step forward and benefit from the time on the sideline. Jackson, we're going to go back to you, and we're going to go all to the outside to the number 8 Granadilla. I don't know, some Dutro training. What do you like?
This one needs the 4 horse not to show up because she does her best running on the lead. And if someone's going to hang around in the lead, it's probably the 4, unless she doesn't show up with her best effort. But this horse, again, drawn outside, has the ability to pass horses if she needs to. And I know the buyer figures are pretty slow, but if you look at her time form, they're pretty competitive with the rest of this group and really not that far off of evaluation. I know she lost evaluation by 8 lengths, but the rest of her figures are pretty decent fit. So I'm not going to use her too heavily in this spot, but more as a deep backup and underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. We're taking a look at time form right now, and you can see They both do have similar time form figures, so you got to like how that lines up, and certainly gives this one a shot if you're going off of those figures. It's always good to have a good mix between the two. That is race number 7, mile allowance state bred race for the New York Breds. I picked the race 3-4-5. Jackson picked it 2-4-8, and Kaylie picked it 5-3-4. We'll move on now to race number 8, our feature race on Saturday. It's going to be the 1 mile Jerome Stakes for 3-year-olds, a Kentucky Derby prep race worth, I believe, 10 points to the winner. Picks are up on the screen. I saw the race 3-4-8. Jackson saw the race 4-2-6, and Kaylie saw the race 8-7-5. And Kaylie, we're going to start with you, the morning line favorite, number 8 McAfee, a horse that I know you are excited to see in the entries.
Super exciting. This horse is obviously a half to Torpedo Anna. And you might look at that first race, this horse's debut, and think that the buyer figure's a little light maybe, but not necessarily whatsoever. I think the sky's the limit for what this horse can develop into. I don't really think that he was asked that much to run the way that he did on debut. And then in his second start, he finished second to a horse that's now running in the Smarty Jones on Saturday as well. So, and literally just lost by a head. And then obviously there's the Torpedo Anna factor here. This is now the second foal that this dam has produced that off of a cheap, stud fee, pretty so-so sires. This is now the second classy foal that dam threw. And I really do believe in the power of that dam, especially when you see the similarities between McAfee and Torpedo Anna. If you look at their hind ends and the way that they're built, pretty similar. This horse has really good natural speed and similar stride as Torpedo Anna. I think like one stride of the other horses, one stride of McAfee is like 2 strides of the other horses in this field. So I really believe in this horse. I'm excited to see what he can develop into. And he runs like a horse that's going to love to continue to stretch out as well. So he's a really exciting horse.
Yeah, absolutely. The big draw of this field is definitely the number 8 McAfee. Also got a nice post position draw, so should have everything his own way and definitely going to be the horse to beat. That's what led to me picking this horse third. I do want to see this horse run. I'm excited, and clearly, yeah, Kaylie, you have all the reasons to love this horse. Jackson, we'll go to you for the number 4, Omaha, a horse maybe named by Peyton Manning, but your top pick. So what do you like here?
Yeah, just another race. I just wasn't completely sold on the favorites. McAfee's debut, I thought, was a complete meltdown, and he did win that race pretty comfortably, so I want to give him credit for that. But I do think it's important to note that it was a meltdown in that race. The whole field kind of came apart. And then the 7 still they do right. I just don't trust him at all. He's kind of inconsistent, and the one time he faced a really fast pace was his worst race, and it feels like this is a race that's going to have a pretty quick pace, which has led me to Omaha, who we were talking before the show. I'm kind of going to use him underneath, but the more I looked, I see so much speed in here. The 1's going to be going, the 2 is coming from Woodbine, he's going to be forward, the 5 horse is going to be forward, the 6 is going to be forward. I mean, this pace has to heat up, and this is the horse that has the best kick in the race. So if they go too fast and they, thing kind of comes apart a bit, he'll be the one picking up the pieces late, I think. And his figures really aren't that far off what we've seen from the favorites in that spot, and he continues to improve. Ryan knows I talk about my paired up buyer tops, or they get pretty close, and that's what he did last time. He finally, 63, 62 is close enough, and then he jumped up with the big performance. It is important to note that came around 2 turns, but he also won by 7, and he got a good setup. But he won by 7, so he did what he was supposed to do. So cutback should be good for him. Hopefully the pace heats up, and maybe he can come flying down the lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And he beat a next out winner and best friend Rocket last time out. Only question would be maybe he got moved up off that sloppy track, but sure. I mean, again, we'll find out. And there certainly is enough pace in here to warrant that as your pick. And I kind of saw it a bit similarly. I went with the other Dutro entrant, the number 3 horse here. Manny Franco opts to ride, so obviously I like to see that. This is an also always improving horse in every start, from 33 to 53, then to 69 last time out, losing to Cyclone State. However, this one stumbled pretty severely at the break. Behind that one was Uncle Jim, a horse that's definitely on the Derby trail as long as he stays healthy going forward. So that was an interesting race this one comes out of. I like to see this one placed in here off that effort. Definitely had some trouble there, but was kind of able to overcome it and finish second behind Cyclone State, who won pretty easily that day. Didn't face too much adversity. So I like that this one overcame something in a lightly raced career. And I want this one moving forward. Again, just always improving. Seemed to really enjoy the stretch out, as that was his biggest Beyer jump up, or a large Beyer jump up to a 69. And it wouldn't take too much more to win versus this field. So comes from off the pace, and I think distance is going to be this one's friend. So I picked the number 3 on top. Kaylie, we'll go to you with the number 7. Studley Do Right, a horse that we've talked about a couple times now on this show.
Yeah, so this horse is super inconsistent. I mean, obviously on paper, he's the horse to beat. He won the Nashua at this distance over this track. I understand. I know that he's not the morning line favorite, but I have a feeling that he might take a bit more money than McAfee, or maybe I'm just hoping that. But I have a slight feeling he might go off as the favorite. But he's just too inconsistent for me to trust. I mean, his speed figures are all over the place. I don't really know, what race he could possibly run here. Obviously, the Remsen was not that great. Cuts back to a mile today. Obviously, I back to a mile. Obviously, I have him second because I think he'll take a piece just based off of class, but I didn't put him on top because I prefer a horse that seems like he's about to pop rather than one that has already had 7 starts and is kind of all over the place. So that's why I put this horse second.
Absolutely. I like that. And I gave Studley Do Right a look. This is a horse I picked last time, but I think this one probably is going to eventually just like this one turn type of configuration. I don't know. For me, yeah, I was with you with the inconsistency. Couldn't trust this horse on top. So I went with a couple closers that are proven to pick them up. And then obviously the number 8 McAfee that we're all excited to see. Jackson, I'll go to you now as we go to the number 2 horse, Mancetti. Your second top pick, a Woodbine shipper. So should have guessed this one.
Yeah, you should have guessed. I love my Woodbine horses. Total question mark on the dirt, right? That's the big question by far. It's not even close. Who knows what he's going to do on this? But because of that, you might get a pretty good price. And I think he's got a chance to be the best of speed. Obviously, the 2-back race wasn't great, but that was the one time he tried to slow it down. I think if you look at his races when he just opens it up and does his thing and lets him roll, it's his 2 best races. So hoping that's going to be the case on Saturday. If you're looking at his time form numbers, they're actually, they're right there with all the favorites in this race. Again, it's a matter of, can he handle the dirt? And it's a giant question, but if he can, you're going to get paid for it.
Absolutely. That's the number 2. I tried to pull up the damn details, but it didn't work. So damn. But Mancetti, the number 2 Woodbine shipper comes in. You got to imagine from that inside post, they're probably going to send to the lead and just hope nobody kind of sends with them. You got to love that over the past year, Attard and Savachi have teamed up 41 times and they hit it 44%. Obviously, a lot of that coming at Woodbine, but that's a ridiculous percentage. 273 ROI. So if anything, you know that Savachi is going to take some live mounts for Kevin Attard. So that's always good to see. And next up, we'll go to the number 5 for Kaylie with Georgia Magic.
Yeah, so I know that the Beyer speed figure is a little light. Got a 49 on debut, but I think if you kind of read in between the lines on that one, I think it's a little low for what it should be. The horse that you can read in the notes on DRF, the horse that finished second improved like 18 points, and then the horse that finished third improved 22 points in their next start. This horse was a winner on debut, took pressure the whole way, fast opening fractions that slowed down, and he was able to hold off all the horses coming after him that had better trips than him. And then this horse is obviously bred to go longer as well. So I think stretching out should really help this horse improve here. It's good magic by a flatter mare. So mile sounds like it might be a perfect distance for this horse. And I think that, that last work coming into this as well looks pretty good. Working 5th out of 152 horses back on December 27th, 10-1. I mean, looking at how tough that horse ran on debut, regardless of the speed figure, I think I'm going to play this horse underneath shorter priced horse McAfee that I'm going to use on top. I'll probably use this horse underneath somewhere at a big price.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, clearly set and held a fast pace, drew off towards the end. So, you always like to see that on debut for Ray Handel, who's not, the strongest with his first time out starters. So, anytime you see one of his win on debut, I know maybe the buyer was a little light, but certainly a horse that you could like underneath. Jackson, we'll go to you as we're talking about one more horse in this race. That is the winner of the allowance non-optional claiming race that we touched on with the ICANN and Uncle Jim race, Cyclone State, the number 6.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of them. Might as well talk about the one after this too.
All but I know. Right?
Another one I'm going to be using horizontally, kind of just hoping that the 2 and 6 don't get in each other's way at some point. But I think with his outside draw, he probably won't. I think he's a lot faster than the 7-8 early, and he'll probably be ahead of them. So hopefully he can just stay in the clear because his fast races they're pretty fast. They're really good. And you mentioned Uncle Jim's a pretty top prospect for Brad Cox. It beat Econ for Dutch Row last time. So just hoping this one can get some forward position again, stay in the clear. A little concerned that he hasn't run well from off the pace because I think he's gonna have to do that to prove he can do that today. But wanted to give him a look at a bit of a price in this spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Winner last time out. If he's able to just fend and open up and nobody else is aggressive, that's clearly when he does his best running, as each of his last 2 races have wound up with him in the winner's circle. Even with a bit of a buyer regression, he was able to get that easy lead and just keep on running. We'll touch on the number 1 real quick. Sure. Enduring Spirit at 30-1. I guess that effort 4 back puts him close, but that's about all I got because there's not much else about this horse that you can like. Also likes to be forward, so maybe just some added speed into a race.
Yeah, I wonder if he ends up even running here, because if he doesn't, that'll definitely change up the pace for sure.
Absolutely, it'll soften it a little bit, but either way, McAfee's shown some tactical speed, so that's clearly the horse to beat. The horse that I believe Kaylie is most excited to watch run, but also I'm excited to see that one run because obviously a half sister to the Super Torpedo Anna. You got to be excited about that, but. That is race number 8, the Jerome Stakes. I saw the race 3, 4, 8. Jackson saw the race 4, 2, 6. And Kaylie saw the race 8, 7, 5. We'll move on now to race number 9. These get-out races at Aqueduct are just an absolute headache. These are some of the hardest races to handicap in the sequence. We're going 7 furlongs for $16,000 claimers. Here we go. Picture up on the screen. I saw the race 8-10. Jackson saw the race 10-6-4, and Kaylie saw the race 8-6-2. So all even numbers. So that just go ahead and box the 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, and you're probably going to be in good shape. I'm just kidding. But Jackson, will go to you. We're going to go to the far outside with the number 10, Perfect Flight. Take it away.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that this race is for restricted claimers. I think it's non-winners of 3 lifetime, if I'm not mistaken. And this horse doesn't fit that bill, except he's won. Or it's been a long time since he's won, but he's been facing open claimers is the point I was trying to convey. He's been facing open claimers. So he's been facing better animals, now dropping in against, easier competition. And again, he's drawn really well, especially at these lower levels. I just think you just want to stay out of trouble. You want to have as little resistance as possible. Just let him run their race. And he should be able to do that from this outside post. His speed figures are, they're right there. So theoretically with, the easier competition, he should be able to improve a little bit, give a good account of himself. I like that he's getting in light here, and hopefully the drop in class is just what the doctor ordered.
Absolutely. Yeah, I picked this horse in 3rd for similar reasons. I think just that outside draw, facing open claimers, and then, I know the last effort was against 12,500, and this is against 16, but again, this is restricted claimers. The last ones were open, as you mentioned, Jackson. So a lot of this is just about staying out of trouble, staying in the clear. And Christopher Elliott's had a really nice meet. Obviously the numbers are lower right now because we just restarted with the new year. But even so, he's still 40%, 2 for 5 with another one in the money. And he's been riding really well. He's been making some really smart decisions and having his horses placed really well. So he's a jockey that I am certainly gaining some trust in. And I love that 2-back effort for this horse. I think if he were to run back to that, that's going to put him really close to the winner circle, maybe even in it. And next up, we'll go to number 8 with Kaylie. And as I get there, you have 13 minutes to post if anybody wants to participate in that late pick 5 carryover at Turfway Park. So get that working. But Kaylie, number 8. Thank you, John. Horse that I picked on top as well as you. What did you like about this one?
Yeah, I think this horse honestly looked the best to me on paper. I mean, he's never really had quite a consistent form, but I think lately he's maybe been more consistent than ever. I thought that the last two races he ran were pretty competitive, and he should be the speed, if not one of the speeds of the race as well. So I think that, you know, like you said, key is probably to stay out of trouble, and I think this horse is going to be able to do so. I mean, he's also won in a few different ways as well. So I think that, you know, he should be pretty dangerous here and gets Jose Lascano aboard, I think for the first time, actually.
Yeah. First time in a while since being with James Begg. So first time with this barn for Jesus Romero. But yeah, I love the draw on this one. I love the positioning that this horse is projected to be in. Has some good tactical speed. I think that just puts this horse naturally in a good spot. And then just I'm thinking heading into the far turn, this one should be taking over the lead, and it's just going to be up to Thank You John to hold off the late runners. But definitely a horse I mean, I can't say felt super confident in because this horse hasn't won since Cinco de Mayo of last year. I guess I can say now, but yeah. So I have a fair amount of confidence that this horse can run decently well. Is basically the only selling point that I can give this one. But that's Thank You John, a horse that should at least sit a decent trip. We'll go a couple to the inside for a horse that we all picked in second. Your morning line favorite. That's Money. Jackson, we'll go to you. You picked this one second, and so did we. So we all probably saw something similar.
Yeah, he's obvious in here. I mean, the last effort was pretty good. He beat Thank You John in that race, and that was at 6 furlongs. And he was definitely finding his best tread late because he looked about a furlong to go, maybe inside the 16th pole. He looked like he was kind of going nowhere, and then all of a sudden he kind of hit another gear, found another gear. He came flying late, almost got there. So I think this stretch out to 7 should really be to his liking. And again, the winner of that race just got the dream run up the rail. I mean, that horse had no business beating That's Money that day, but he did. He just got a much better trip, saved all the ground. So I think the stretch out to 7 is going to help him. I am a little concerned about the pace scenario in here. I'm not sure how much speed is in this spot. He can be closer, but Thank You John could be loose from post 8. So that was my one thing holding me back from picking him on top, and maybe short price too.
Absolutely. The short price was what it was for me that I couldn't pick this horse on top just in a race like this that I think is really open and deep and competitive. I just didn't want to pick the favorite on top, even if he is maybe the most likely winner. He's still a little bit pace dependent. Kaylie, what made you like this horse enough to pick him second or not trust him enough to not pick him first?
Yeah, I completely agree that he's a bit pace dependent. I do think coming off that last layoff in his last race on December 13th, that was a pretty competitive race he ran, like you guys were saying. But I think, you know, that's also pretty recent, December 13th. So he has good recent form, second back off the layoff. Maybe he can improve even a little bit, even though he doesn't have to win here. But yeah, I didn't put him on top because of how the pace scenario is expected to play out. But I think he'll take a piece regardless.
Absolutely. Yeah, certainly. With a good shot in here as your morning line favorite. That's Money. Jackson, will flip back to you for the number 4 Devil's Key.
Yeah, just one I thought last time he didn't get the right kind of trip. He took some money that day against a lot of these. I think there's like 6 horses coming out of that same race that Thank You John and That's Money exit. And he was, he got forward, but was just never comfortable. He was kind of sandwiched between rivals the entire way around the track, and then just kind of faded. And then 2 back, kind of not same thing. He just didn't really run, but I'm hoping he can get back to those good races, 3 and 4 back over this, came over the summer, where he ran numbers that were really competitive in this against these, and just maybe getting back to the more of an inside draw will help him getting in light again. So one more chance for him because his races over the summer were pretty good. I know the last 2 weren't great.
Yeah, absolutely. If he can get back to that prior form with Chris Engelhart, he's certainly going to be a big threat in there. But those last 2 efforts discourage a little bit, but definitely a price that if this one rebounds and runs his best race, it's definitely going to put him right there. Kaylie, we'll go now to the last horse that we want to talk about today. That's King Kali, the number 2.
Yeah, I just thought that this horse was pretty interesting. I know he's coming in from Finger Lakes, but I mean, that last race that he ran was pretty good, showed really good speed. I know he's breaking from the 2 hole today or Saturday, but Hopefully he has good enough early speed or shows good enough early speed that he's able to get himself into a comfortable position. He's just a horse I kind of wanted to take a shot with in third. I'm not putting him on my pick 5 tickets or anything, but yeah, that last race definitely caught my eye, and he basically dominated there. So yeah, I thought he looked interesting enough at 10-1 compared to the other runners in here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. King Kali was a horse I gave a look to off that last win, getting the 75 buyer. A horse that I don't know if this one's going to really need the lead, but certainly should have some stamina turning back from the mile 70, going 2 turns to the 7 furlongs versus this group, even though it's going to be a bit of a step up. I think it's something this horse could accomplish. And our buddy Noah Maher in the chat with the absolutely and then never gets old, because I've been told I say absolutely a lot. So that last
it's a fun drinking game. You guys should all play.
It is a fun drinking game if you enjoy drinking.
I think
this guy
okay.
Noah can't drink until Sunday, so nobody allowed him to participate in this drinking game. But that is race number 9. I saw the race 8-6-10. Jackson saw the race 10-6-4. Kaylie saw the race 8-6-2. A competitive and deep final leg of this late pick 5, and we're going to get into our pick 5 tickets now. Kaylie, why don't you take us away? You have a $72 ticket.
Yeah, so in the first race, I used the 3 horses that I talked about, and I also threw Roofer in there as well, because I thought that his 2 starts, if I'm remembering correctly, his 2 starts were competitive enough to put him in. I don't know, I think he should be pretty competitive there. I didn't really want to leave him off of my tickets, so I included him. I went 1, 3, 4, 8 in the first leg, and then in the second leg, I just used the 3 horses that I talked about. I didn't really feel the need to include any others. And then in the allowance race, I used the 3 that I talked about as well. Going to be pretty annoyed if Nolita happens to get there, though. This is like the first time I'm not using a mock like on a ticket, but I just could not use her. But yeah, I just used the 3 horses that I talked about. And then in the Jerome, I just use McAfee and Studley Do Right. I think that honestly, maybe I'll end up singling McAfee on race day, depending how confident I feel. But I think the sky's the limit for that horse, so I actually might end up singling him. And then in the last leg, I just used the 6 and the 8. Thank you, John, and that's money. I didn't really feel the need to spread there, with those 2 horses being probably the 2 likely winners.
2 likely winners, absolutely, and they both have kind of differing pace styles. So you either hope Thank You John gets loose on the front end and hangs on, or if the 8 Thank You John gets into a duel, the 6 That's Money is there to pick it up based on that last race that he ran. So that's Kaylie's ticket, $72 play if you play it as is or make any adjustments that you'd like. Jackson, will go to you next. You have an $81 pick 5 ticket. Walk us through it.
Yeah, I wasn't very creative this week. I just mostly just picked my top 3 horses from every race, because I really thought this sequence was really tough. I mean, I couldn't really find a race where I felt good about narrowing it down to a single. So just, trying to get home. The first race, I have Let's Fight from the Rail, Outsource, and Runamore. Those are my top 3 picks. None of them will be favored, so I'm going to get good value out of the first race if we do survive. And that second race is where I'm going to really get some separation if I'm right, because I have the 9 on the outside, who is Have a Cigar, A Million Stories at 10-1, and then Magni on the Rail, who will also be a price. I'm going to ignore the comment in the chat because that's just, I don't know who that is.
We don't know.
And that allowance race, again, I don't know what to do with the Chad horse. I don't trust her singler, so I had to use her. But I do want to use the 2 horse, who is Valentine Gift, because I just thought she ran so well last time, having no pace to chase, merry-go-round race, and she still got the job done. Now she's getting another race where a lot of speed and an extra half furlong to work with, so I had to include her somewhere. The Jerome, I would have also included McAfee if it didn't go over my $100 budget, but I did, so I had to throw someone out, and he wasn't in my top 3. But I will probably use him on race day as well, just because Kaylee's been making such a good case for really like 3 days now. She's been telling us every single day, McAfee. So I can't let that horse beat me. He'll be on my tickets, and then just try and get some prices in that race too. And the last race, I do think, who's the 10's horse name? Or no, not the 10, the 6.
6 is That's Money.
That's Money. That's Money.
Oh, wrong.
That's money in the
wrong
last. Cyclone State.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, last race. It's not loading for me. That's Money is probably the horse to beat, so I needed him. My top choice, the 10 on the outside, that is Perfect Flight. Just I think the class drop might get him home. And then Devil's Key is another horse I want to use who might be able to get forward in the spot. So that's my ticket, mostly just my top picks. And if I'm right, we're gonna get paid for this sequence.
Absolutely. That is an $81 ticket presented to you by Jackson. Make any changes or play it as is. Do whatever you'd like to do. My ticket is $90. I was really close to that $100 budget that we set. I was able to find a single that I have the most amount of confidence in, but I had to kind of single somewhere because I needed to go deep everywhere else. But starting off 5 deep, going 1, 3, 4, 6, 8 horses that we all talked about on the program. My top 3, and then a couple of others mixed in there as well. Next race, I'm going to single the 8. That's the Linda Rice horse. It's drawn to the outside in the maiden race, the split division of race number 5. So in race number 6, I'm going to single that Linda Rice horse. I'm going to hope that the outside speed either lets that one kind of go cross and clear, or maybe just sit that nice 2 wide stocking trip around and then take over top of the stretch and get home. So that was my most my strongest opinion, I guess. So I figured I might as well single. Next race, I'm going 3, 4, 5, my top 3 picks. Same with the race after. Going 3, 4, 8. I want to use McAfee up top because I think he's the most likely winner of that race. But I also like the 3 and the 4. The other Dutro entrant, and then the number 4. The name is escaping me right now, but a horse that I think definitely has a shot. Last race, I'm going 1, 6, 8, 10. Going to go 4 deep in there. I don't know that we spoke about the one a whole lot. That is Collect from Ike. Just an absolute bomb that I threw in there. Just had some back buyer speed figures. Really has to get back like 6 or 7 races, but I wanted to throw that one in there. Maybe that one decides that Saturday is the day that he's going to run his A race. So other than that, I went 6, 8, 10, my top 3 picks in that race. So $90 pick 5 ticket. But either way, if you play any of these tickets or play your own, you're pretty much guaranteed to get paid pretty nicely because this, I can't imagine this sequence chalking out or anything like that with how difficult this was. And the fact that none of us have a common single like we did last week because El Grande O is still trying to finish that race. So
let's not talk about how much I bet on that.
We won't talk about how much you bet on that horse, but we will talk about I guess we did talk about it. We just talked about all the pick 5 tickets, but that was the late pick 5 this Saturday at Aqueduct. It was a fun sequence, definitely a difficult one. So I'm excited to get there. I'm excited to watch all the races the rest of this week. And then, of course, Kentucky Derby prep races are really starting to pick up across the country. And we start on Saturday with the Jerome. We got the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn. We got the name San Vicente at Santa Anita. So just some fun races that are starting to pop up across the calendar. But this late pick 5 is certainly going to get you paid if you decide to play. My bet is that the pick 6 carries over. I think that sequence is just way too difficult. But that's for you to decide. Maybe Jackson has the winning pick 6 ticket. Who knows? It's definitely not going to be Noah Maher. I guarantee he doesn't have the picks. But myself, Jackson, and Kaylie, we all got you covered. So thank you for tuning in. This has been Big Hoof Energy episode 7. I'm your host, Ryan, and for Kaylie and Jackson.